Thank you for joining us today for our presentation on flexibility. This is part of our exercise and physical activity series. If you recall back to other presentations in this section, you'll remember that there's 4 categories of exercise, and we want to make sure that we are doing things that work all of these different categories so that we can get the benefits from each of those. Today we're going to focus in on the flexibility component. Flexibility exercises are what's going to keep those joints nice and loose and mobile for you. We say that motion is lotion, and we really want to make sure that we're working every joint every day. We're going to build up slowly and build up to 3 to 5 repetitions at those sessions. We want to make sure that we're going into those stretches carefully. We never want to bounce into a stretch, and we only want to stretch as far as is comfortable. The more we do each of these different stretches, the further we'll be able to go, but you want to make sure that you're listening to your body. Okay? You'll notice that point when the joint is telling you that that's far enough, and we just want to hold it at that point. Okay? So we don't want pain as we're going through these flexibility exercises. You want to make sure that your muscles and your joints are nice and warm before you start these stretches. That can be as simple as walking around the room, shaking your arms out, doing some shoulder rolls to get that blood pumping and make sure that everything is warmed up appropriately before you start. You always want to make sure that you're breathing normally in the stretch. If we're straining into a stretch and we're holding our breath, it can actually cause your blood pressure to go up. So you can either exhale on the exertion. So when you're going into that stretch, try to be mindful about exhaling. If you can't, go ahead and just breathe normally through it. Sometimes our body just wants to hold on to that air while we're focusing on that stretch. So it may help then to remember to exhale on the exertion piece. You're going to feel that stretch. Okay, so we're definitely moving those joints in a way that's pushing them to their limit, but it shouldn't hurt. If it hurts, then we want to pull back from that level of stretch and just go to the point where you can feel it stretching. Don't bounce into a stretch. We're going to do this slow and steady as we go, and also make sure that your joints stay loose, that we're not locking them into this position or holding them too tightly. One of the exercises that you can do, this is extremely beneficial if you've been sitting for a while and your back's getting stiff. You can sit in a chair that has arms. To start, put both hands on one arm of the chair, keeping your knees forward, and that's going to help kind of twist that spine and stretch it from side to side up that spinal cord. So hold that for about 5 seconds, and then you'll switch both hands over to the other arm of the chair and get the stretch going in that direction. If you feel up to it, you can also stretch your back the long way by leaning down over your legs, letting your arms stretch out, and you should be able to feel that lengthening of your spine as you do that. When you come up from that, you're going to slowly come up. We don't want any dizziness. You can walk your hands up your legs, and when you get up to your knees, you can kind of roll up from there, taking care that we're not moving too quickly to hurt anything. Other stretches you can do, certainly while you're sitting and watching TV, simple ones like taking your hands and stretching your fingers as wide as you can, and then relaxing them into a gentle fist. Okay, so that will help stretch all of those finger joints out. Our wrists are also a very important joint that we want to keep loose. You can do this if you tuck your elbows into your sides, have your forearms nice and flat coming away from your body, and then drop your fingers down towards the ground. And then slowly bring those fingers up towards the ceiling, and then let them come back down to the floor. So that will help stretch the wrist up and down if you're keeping those elbows tucked in. And then another thing you can do, again, tuck those elbows in, keep your forearms nice and flat. Spread those fingers a bit and have your hands positioned so your palms are facing down towards the floor. And then leading with your thumbs, bring those thumbs up and over so that you're flipping your palms up towards the ceiling. And that will also help with those joint stretches there. And then you can bring it back down to the palms facing the floor, and then palms facing up towards the ceiling again. Some other good stretching and flexibility exercises, you can do foot circles. So again, sitting in a chair, bring one foot out in front and rotating with your toes. So that helps kind of keep that rotation around the ankle joint. If we're trying to make nice circles with our toes, we'll be moving in that ankle. So do some circles in one direction and then do circles in the other direction. And then bring your other foot up and circle in one direction and then circle in the other direction. So those activities are ones that can get you started in making sure that we're getting those joints nice and loose. Our goal is to work every joint every day, but if you're already working them through other activities that you're doing, you don't necessarily have to rework them. So if you are taking a walk, you're going to be getting some of that flexibility around your ankles and your knees and your hips. And if not, then those are the ones that you can focus on at the end of the day if you haven't done anything with those. So we hope you enjoyed this presentation around flexibility exercises. We do offer different programs through the Villages Health, and you can find information on that at thevillageshealth.com/learning center. With flexibility, I do want to point out that some additional great forms of exercise for this category include yoga and Tai Chi that will definitely help work all of those joints throughout your body.